Hello, welcome to this follow-up video on the Z transform. In this video, we are going to investigate the properties of the region of convergence, also abbreviated as ROC. If you remember, the way we understood the Z transform was in terms of a summation. So for example, if you have something like a power n un, then the Z transform is 1 by 1 minus AZ inverse, but this is also the Z transform for minus a power nu of minus n minus 1. But the ROC for this is mod Z greater than a, and the ROC for this is the same thing, is mod less than a. So indeed, it is essential for you to be able to provide the ROC for the Z transform to make complete sense. So given that that is the case, I wanted to quickly discuss the properties of the region of convergence. So number one, so the ROC is a ring or plane centered at the origin. Okay, so for all of these I will give a few examples and maybe an outline of how you can understand it. I am not going to give you a complete proof. Okay, this basically means that the ROC is always of the form 0 less than or equal to RR less than or equal to mod Z. Sorry, this should be strictly less than, sorry. RL less than or equal to infinity, which means that this RR can be 0, RL can be infinity, but the mod Z is it's always of the form mod Z greater than something or mod Z less than something, which can be infinity. Okay. So now let's just take some simple examples. Let's say you have something like delta of, let's say we have delta of n minus 1 plus delta of n plus 1. Okay, let's find the ROC of this. So for this is a finite impulse response sequence, and the Z transform is Z plus Z inverse. So now notice that we cannot substitute Z to be infinity, we cannot substitute Z to be 0. So for this, the ROC is going to be 0 less than. Okay, so this is basically the entire Z plane except infinity and 0. Okay, if you take something a little more complicated, let's say something like un 1 by 1 minus Z inverse mod Z greater than a also satisfies the same. Now let's take something a little more complicated. Let's look at this. Let's take 2 power n u of minus n minus 1. Now this is a slightly interesting sequence, because if you substitute negative values of n, which is what gives you non-zero values over here, then you are going to get, let me stick in a minus, then it's going to be easy, then you are going to get the ROC to be, so you're going to get basically decreasing values as n becomes more negative. So in this case, because of the formula we have, you know that the Z transform is 1 by 1 minus AZ inverse. Okay, and the ROC is going to be, okay, this is something you can verify. Now if you take the sequence, let's say I'll take some other number, 1 by 3 power n un. For this sequence we have, and mod Z is greater than 1/3. So one thing we can do is we can add these sequences up. We can add these sequences up, and if you do that, let us consider sequence minus 1 by 3 power n un minus 2 power n u of minus n minus 1. If you consider this sequence, then you are going to get 1 by 1 minus 2 z inverse plus 1 by 1 minus z inverse by 3, and as we'll see in another property, the ROC is going to be 1 by 3 less than mod z less than 2. Okay, now notice that this ROC also includes the mod z is equal to 1. This ring like ROC, basically when you have it as a ring which doesn't include the basically it doesn't include a circle that encompasses the origin, and it doesn't include this outside circle. This ring like ROC is always a double-sided infinite sequence. So this is actually, if you plot this is going to be something like, look something like this, and then it's going to decay as 1/3. So this is like, something like half power n un flipped, and this is 1/3 un. Of course, there's a negative sign, but you can understand that. So these ring-like ROCs are always symptomatic of, they always appear when you have double-sided infinite sequences. Okay. The next property is the DTFT converges absolutely if and only if, like for let's say for xn, mod z equal to 1 belongs to the ROC. This is something I have mentioned to you already. Okay, the unit circle must belong to the ROC. Only then you can just substitute z is equal to e power j omega, because e power j omega is essentially all the points that are on the unit circle. So if mod z is equal to 1 is present on the ROC, the DTFT converges absolutely, meaning for every value of omega, the DTFT takes on a valid finite value. Notice that this will not include those DTFTs for which you need impulses to define them. Okay. The third property, this requires us to define the poles and zeros. So if you take any Z transform, let's say that x of z is something like p of z upon q of z, where p of z and q of z are polynomials in z or z inverse depending on the way you arrange. The roots of p of z are called zeros. Not surprisingly, because whenever p of z is 0, then x of z is 0. So these are the roots. So these are the zeros. Similarly, the roots of the denominator are called poles. The reason they are called poles is because the value goes to infinity. That is, when q of z goes to 0 and p of z is not 0 at the same time, then the value goes to infinity, which is why the roots of q of z are called poles. So always whenever you have something like, let's say you have something like 1 minus half z inverse by 1 minus 1/3 z inverse, then we say it has a 0 at half, because if you substitute z is equal to half, the numerator becomes 0 when the denominator doesn't, and we have a pole at 1/3, because when you substitute z is equal to 1/3, the numerator is a finite non-zero value when the denominator is 0. So one important property is that the ROC cannot contain any poles. Now this is not very surprising. The reason is because a pole is basically some place where the value becomes infinity. Now we define the region of convergence as the region where x of z actually converges to a finite value, and definitely a pole refers to an infinite value, so the ROC cannot contain any poles. If you have a finite duration sequence, so this is a finite impulse response like the one we took earlier, then the ROC is the entire z plane except possibly z is equal to 0 and z is equal to infinity. Okay, so this is or not very difficult to observe. So for example, if you take any sequence which is causal, like delta n plus half delta n minus 1, let's say, you will find that the Z transform is 1 plus Z inverse by 2. Naturally, every value of Z is admissible except Z is equal to 0. So the ROC is mod Z greater than 0. Or you can also write it as the whole complex plane minus just 0. If you take an anti-causal sequence, like for example, delta of, let's say just take the simple one, delta of, we'll just take delta of n plus 1 rather. This is Z and the ROC is mod Z less than infinity, which is the same as saying C or the full complex plane minus just infinity. Okay, so you can now make a combination. If you combine these two, then you will find that both 0 and infinity cannot exist. But for all finite duration sequences, the ROC is always the entire Z plane except possibly Z is equal to 0 or Z is equal to infinity. The next property is that if you have a right-sided sequence, okay, right-sided sequence, then ROC will be, I'll use loose notation, outward from the outermost pole. Okay, outward from the outermost pole. This means something which you have to understand very carefully. If you have a system, like for example, if you have something like, we'll take an example that we took. Okay, let me take an example like this. Let's say you have 1 by 1 minus half Z inverse plus 1 by 1 minus 1 by 3 Z inverse. Now, needless to say, if I give you mod Z is greater than half, that will include the mod Z is greater than 1/3. Of course, that's a subset of that. Then you will find that the inverse, if you find the inverse Z transform, it's going to be 1 by 2 power n un plus 1 by 3 power n un. This is the inverse Z transform. But for the same sequence, if you take the ROC to be mod Z is less than 1 by 3, then you will get a different inverse. You will get, okay, so there's a half here, minus half power n, u of minus n minus 1, minus 1 by 3 power n, u of minus n minus 1. Okay, if you don't believe me, what you can do is you can just find the Z transform of this sequence, and you will indeed find that if the region of convergence is actually mod Z is less than 1/3, because only then can you add up the terms, otherwise the terms will blow up to infinity. So you can clearly see that the ROC extends outward. So if you draw a unit circle, okay, and if you say the coordinate axis, the ROC, and this is, let's say, half, the ROC is this. And where are the poles? There is a pole at half, there is a pole at 1/3. So the ROC extends outward from the outermost pole. Similarly, for this one, this is 1/3, the ROC is going to be, okay, let me undo that. And I'm trying to draw a circle. Okay, the ROC is going to be this little tiny circle or disc whose radius is 1/3, which does not include the 1/3. Notice that these ROCs touch the pole, but they do not include that pole. So in the former case, mod Z is greater than half does not include the half pole. Mod Z is less than 1/3 doesn't include the 1/3 pole. Okay. Now, needless to say, if you look at the ring which is in between these two, you will get a double-sided sequence. In fact, it's not difficult for you to see that it will be something of the form of I think it will be between 1/3 and half. So the 1/3 is going to give you minus 1/3 minus 1 by 3 power n un plus half power n u of minus 1 by 3 power n u of minus and minus 1 plus half power n un. So you can just verify that. Okay. So but anyway, right-sided sequence outward. Similarly, if you have a left-sided sequence like the above, then like ROC will be inward from innermost pole. So notice that whenever we say outer and inner, we are referring to the origin. So when we say outermost, that's farthest from the origin, innermost is closest to the origin. So the left side sequence, the ROC will be inward from the innermost pole. Okay, and for a two-sided sequence, you'll have a ring ROC. That is, you'll have something of the form, let's say 1 by 3 less than mod z less than 2 or less than half or something of the sort. So you have a double-sided sequence. When you have a double-sided infinite sequence that is neither finite on one side or the other, then you're going to have, when I say two-sided, I mean two-sided infinite sequence, you're going to have a ring ROC. And finally, another important property, the ROC must be a connected region. What do we mean by this? We can't have something like, some little tiny shape here and another shape here, and another shape, let's say here. You can't have this. There's actually one connected piece, meaning the ROC cannot be in patches which are disjoint. ROC has to be connected. Now this is something which is not very difficult to see, because the ROC is always going to be attached to some poles if they exist. So there's always going to be between some two poles, and it's always going to be an equidistant region like a ring. So then, given that is the case, the ROC is always going to be a connected region, and you are never going to have the case that there's a ROC which are multiple disjoint patches which occur whenever you deal with these kinds of sequences. So these important properties are some things which will give you some intuition, and as you get practice more and more with Z transforms and have a look at these Z transforms of various sequences, you will find that these things appear again and again and help you significantly with your analysis. Okay, thank you.